I'd like to thank Willow Lees for providing all the goodies. I'd like to thank the Yellow Trail Museum for hosting it. It seems very appropriate considering the long history of the Hope newspaper, which I have here. And I want to give a special thanks to the Biggs family, and in particular Carol. I was hoping she would be here this evening, but I don't see her at this point. And then, of course, Larry Simpson. Now, Merrill and Ike certainly outlived their lives here. The Biggs family, Charlie, certainly outlived his life here. And I am planning on giving this to Carol once I see her. When I was at Indiana State, I walked into a room and I saw this word on the bulletin board, and I'm sure some of you cannot see it, is the word if. For some reason or other, it made quite the impression on me. This was in the 1970s. Indiana State University, better known as Larry Bird University. There are concerns about people that never consider if. There are concerns about people who never get beyond if. When we got together as a group over 3 years ago, there were a lot of ifs to consider. There were the legal ifs, there were the money ifs, there were the website provider ifs, there were the personnel ifs, there were the readership ifs. Those are still present. But I'd like to think that now, after 3 years, they're not as prominent as what they were. I've always liked short and meaningful types of words and phrases. I remember Dad was working on this rusted out pig feeder. I looked at him and I asked, Dad, what in the world are you doing? Why are you bringing that pig feeder back to life when that farmer can easily go out and buy a new pig feeder? He looked at me kind of like a young boy, and he said, David, for the challenge. For the challenge. When I was considering doing a CD project in 5th grade, I can't imagine very many schools doing a CD project. I remember making a presentation to Mr. Michener, our principal at that time, and he came back with 3 words: go for it. Why continue a local newspaper? Why do everything that we do in this town? I think it's for hope. For the hope of hope. We are so blessed to have so many people in this area who believe in this town and who believe in hope. Why do the pages of this town continue to turn when pages of smaller towns are not turning? It's because of the many special people within this town. And I see all of you out there. Thank you for being here. It is very much appreciated. And I think I've probably said enough for the time being. I'm going to let our newest team member talk. Come on over here, Don.
My name is Don Hewitt, and unlike many of you, I did not have the privilege of growing up in this community. My wife and I moved here in 1987, and at that time, about the only thing we knew about Hope is it was an equal distance for our commute to our jobs. But we've lived here, we've loved it, we've raised a family here, we've grown, we've thrived, and it's just been an awesome place to be, and we forged a lot of friendships during our time here. And this community is just full of talented and generous people that work hard to make this a great place for all people to live. And they have a special passion for the heritage, to preserving that and promoting that to others. And as the newest member of the advisory board, I look forward to working hard to continue towards the achievements that they've achieved in the past 3 years. So that's all I've got.
That's great to have you, Don. Thank you. And now, John Clark is going to be saying a few things about the Lion Online News Summit that he attended. And John, thank you so much for everything you do, buddy. Where would we be without you?
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm John Clark. I'm the content coordinator. Basically, I'm the guy who's posting the stuff to the website at horrible hours in the morning and writing lots of the stuff that appears there. Although, our writers are like Jen, who is here, and Paul, who isn't, and Haley, and our interns. They're the ones who are writing a lot of the stuff too. So I heard about a group called the Lion Group. It's the local internet-only news organization, and it's made up of small news organizations just like HSJ Online. They had their annual conference in Chicago, and between HSJ Online and the Town of Hope funding us through the Edit Committee, I was able to make the trip up there this year. It was from October 26th to the 29th, and just want to give you a little bit of an idea what the world of internet news is like out there and how it affects a town like Hope and how we fit into that picture. On Saturday morning, I wandered up to the check-in table and was talking with the executive director of the organization, and he asked how my conference was going. And I said, well, honestly, I feel kind of small. Even in this world of local internet news organizations, I thought, well, we're really small. He said, well, how small are you? I said, well, the Town of Hope has about 2,000 people. And Matt says, let me introduce you to somebody. And so he walked me across the room and introduced me to a lady named Dawn Shelton, who is from Oklahoma, and she's doing a local internet news site for a town of 1,200 people. So I was not the smallest town represented at this organization. However, in our own defense, her town also included lots of bedroom communities around Oklahoma City. So I think she was fudging a little bit on the 1,200. But another really interesting thing that happened to me, and I just want to throw this out as a small world sort of event, is that I spent a lot of time in Reno after I got out of the Navy and went to University of Nevada, Reno, and I sat down for lunch, and I realized I was sitting next to this guy named Bob Conrad, who turns out went to the University of Nevada, Reno in the journalism program at the same time I was there. Never met him. We both worked for the university newspaper, the Sagebrush, at the same time, but he also, in a much bigger city, they're finding that they're just not getting enough coverage of their local community, so they've started their own local internet news organization. And really, if I had a few takeaways that I could share with you, is that we think that we might be alone in being a community that has a hard time getting local news in our community. There were people at this conference from New York City. There are entire gigantic neighborhoods in New York City, entire boroughs that nobody is covering anymore. The New York Times isn't covering them. The New York Post isn't covering them. So they're starting their own online news to try and get the same kind of coverage, to get people to go to the meetings, to get people to cover the local government, to get people to cover the local church activities. The same sort of thing we're doing here in Hope. They're doing in gigantic cities around the country because journalism is shrinking. And that's really one of the takeaways, is the threat to journalism. Every day you can see that some other newspaper is either downsizing, or it's reducing staff, or it's reducing the number of days it's published. And it's, there's a lot of, it was heartening to see this many people showing up to talk about local news and to be passionate about having news in their community. So maybe journalism as a money-making activity is in danger, but I'm not sure that journalism, as far as getting information out to the community, is in danger. Another major thing that we heard repeatedly was the threat from Facebook. And I know that everybody loves Facebook or hates Facebook. The threat to journalism is particularly dire, I guess, because on the one hand, Facebook takes all the ad dollars, so these for-profit organizations can no longer pay their reporters and their photographers because all the money they used to have as revenue is now going to Facebook and Google. The other thing is that how do you end up getting your message out when you depend on it for Facebook? I'm going to talk in a few minutes about some of our web statistics. But I mean, about a third of our traffic that comes to our website comes from our Facebook page. So if Facebook stops showing our stories to our readers on Facebook, people don't see the stories, they don't come to the website, they don't know they exist. And Facebook is going through a process right now, which was just starting back in October. They were doing a test run in a country, I think it was Malaysia, I can't swear to that, where Facebook decided that nobody really wants to see news on Facebook. All people really want to see, as Michael put it, is kittens and their friends and their friends' kids. Didn't you say kittens? Kids. Oh, I thought it was kittens. I'm sorry. What that means for local news is that they're downvoting the local news pages. So if you have a news story, it's harder and harder for you to be seen. They've now moved that to America. It's rolling out here. On my day job, I have 4 pretty good-sized Facebook pages, and I was trying earlier this week to get a flash flood warning out, the message out that there's flash flood warning happening right now. You need to take cover, get to higher ground right now. Posted them to Facebook, and Facebook said, well, 20 people need to know about it here. 100 people need to know about it on this page that has 15,000 or so followers. Maybe another 30 on this page. All told, Facebook thought only 200 people in our entire listening area needed to know that it was time to take higher ground. Luckily, in my other job, I have a few radio stations that I can get that message out on. But it's a real problem if people depend on their news on Facebook, and Facebook says, you don't need to know about that. It'll just make you bored. Third takeaway, and I don't know how I'm doing on time. I didn't time this, but the third was the difference between for-profit and not-for-profit news was a big conversation topic. Non-for-profit news groups were wondering, can we make money at this? Should we go for profit? For-profit news groups were saying, no, can we go non-profit? How do we do that? And there's also somewhere in the middle is a membership model where you have people that either sponsor you or pay to be members, and that's how you fund the site. Obviously, we're doing something different here. We're doing, we have lots of support from our local foundations, our local organizations, local donations, and that's how we're managing to keep the doors open here. Which gets me to point 4, asking for money. So they literally had a session for trying to teach journalists how to ask people for money. Believe it or not, journalism is not in the business college. It's not something most journalists graduated with the idea of, I'm going to have to go figure out how to pay for all this. That's what we had a sales office for, a business office. So we literally had a session about how do you approach people and say, hey, if you like our local news, you need to support it. So I'm not going to make a strong pitch here. I'm just saying that every time you contribute to HSJ Online, that money goes right back out the door for us to pay for a new story, to pay for photos, to pay for other content that we put up on the website. So if you're thinking of, how can I support HSJ Online? We have several options. Again, I don't think I got an A in the class in asking for money. So anyway, that's about all I can say about the Lion Conference. I'll talk to you a little bit more about the statistics and how we're doing on the website here in a bit. But thanks for letting me chat.
Tracy Sousa of Heritage stated the following: philanthropy is about understanding the world around us and then taking action to make our community, state, country, and the world a better place. It is people putting to work whatever they have, money, time, talents, or just compassion for the common good. I could not say that any better than what Tracy did. We're very fortunate to have Tracy as part of the Heritage Fund. In looking at this last year, we had 9 individuals who gave extremely valuable advice, including 6 IU Kelly school students, 4 advisory committee members providing multiple experiences. Now we have 5 with Don, and 19 other talented individuals helping in a variety of ways. Again, it takes a lot of people to make an organization successful, and we're very fortunate. For 2017, we received well over $12,000, and we cannot thank the endowment enough. We cannot thank the town of Hope enough, but we can't thank enough other people who have donated. It was our best year for businesses sponsoring ads. We spent just over $16,000. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That's not very good business, and we cannot continue to go that route. We cannot. We know that. Fortunately, we had that great first year with Tim Andrews coming in with that $10,000 matching grant. So we are in a solid situation, but we still have to be concerned, as John stated so well, about money. We do have expenses that we need to take care of. Our goals for 2018 are to continually focus on visibility, credibility, and reliability, to add staff for more coverage, to seek out 25% more advertisers, to increase website numbers by 15%, to maintain a $10,000 balance through contributions and sponsorships, to implement IU Kelly marketing campaign, possibly producing an organization video, and to integrate a new one-up software version and a mobile application. And John, what am I looking at?
This hopefully will be launched on Monday. This is our new website. It is powered by the newest version of our internet provider, OneUp. It's the newest version of their software. It won't make a huge difference to what you see online, except that it will allow us for bigger photos. It allows for more interactive elements. We can do things that we just can't do on the current site. We were hopeful we could launch it today, but we're going to go through the weekend and go through and double check and make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to be working. But as you can see, it is a little bit more dynamic already. Instead of having the same photo staring at you, you've got the rotating, and it'll make my life a lot easier of putting stuff up on the website. The other thing that this allows us to do is it allows us to push our stories directly to Facebook and Twitter without having to go in and separately and log on. And it also allows us to push to a new mobile app, which we hope to have available very soon, where you'll be able to, on your phone, on both Google and on Apple, on the Apple Store, be able to download this app, and every time a new story appears on our website, it will also appear on the app on your phone.
Now, how many of you fully understood everything John said? Hey, several people. All right. I thought it'd be good to mention our core values. When we met with the IU Kelly students, they looked at us and they asked, well, what are your core values? And honestly, we had not given that much thought. So I came up with some then and then refined them. I have the acronym CRISH, to celebrate what we're doing right now. I am a strong believer in celebrating. To be revealing, to show integrity, to be of service, and to provide hope. There's a story in every family, business, organization, church, and school. Even though we can't possibly cover all of them, it is our hope we can share some which all of our readers will identify with in some way. Now, at this time, we're going to turn it over to John, and he's going to talk about our web stats.
This is the part where I read a bunch of numbers to you and everybody's eyes glaze over. So if you needed to take a nap, this might be the good part of the event to take a nap. But let me just get the big one out of the way first. I talked about this last year. We have now, as of the end of the year, hit 1 million page views on our website. The site is... our first year we had 177,000 page views. Our second year we had 269. Last year we had 590,000 page views, and it's going up this year with the new site. I can only assume it will be even better. The best months we had as far as page views were all within the last year. The best month we've ever had 158,000 page views in September of last year. As far as number of visits to the website, just to give you an idea of how our visits have gone up, in January of 2015, when we launched this website, we had 6,000 people come to the website. In January of 2018, we had 19,000 people come to the website. The numbers are very similar in February, except we had 33,000 people come to the website in February of this year. Our top 5 stories of all time on our website are all hope related. Our entire site is basically hope related. You can go and look at some other stuff on there, but people come to the site to see stuff from hope. Our number 1 story was about Erica Hurt overdosing in the Dollar General parking lot. That, unfortunately, is our most read story. The second one was a Hope woman who was arrested for drug dealing. The third one was 50 years of Hope Heritage Days. Also a very popular story. Evan Dodd, being the Sycamores head coach, was our fourth most popular story. I usually can talk. And then number 5 is When Will Leaves of Hope Open. That's our 5th most popular story on our website. So again, it's not all doom and gloom, but there is some doom and gloom in there. Let me throw out some just random other numbers to you. Just this week, I posted our 2,500th article on our website. Articles includes everything from obituaries to the little briefs to full-blown stories. When people come to our site, the average number of articles they read is 0.77. So people show up to the site, they look to see if there's anything new, and if there's not, they leave. But at least 2/3 of the people at least check something out at the time. The busiest hour of the day that people read our website. Does anybody want to guess what hour of the day people are reading HSJ Online?
Probably 1 a.m.
No, that's a good guess though, but it's 9 o'clock in the morning. The worst hour of the day is 2 o'clock in the morning. And if you happen to be at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're looking at about 34 other people on the website with you. If you're looking at 2 o'clock in the morning, you have 13 other people on the website with you. The busiest day of the week? Monday. Monday is the business day of the week. I assume people show up to work first thing on Monday morning. They say, hey, I wonder what happened at Hope over the weekend, and they check our website. The slowest day of the week is Saturday because people are having fun on Saturday, I guess, and don't want to check the website. I talked earlier about Facebook and the effect Facebook has on us. Let me throw out some positives. I don't want to just sound negative about Facebook. When we launched the site in 2015, we immediately, within the first month, had 700 Facebook followers. We now have 1,400, so we've doubled that in the past few years, which when you think about it, the town of 2,000 people having 1,400 people following us on Facebook feels pretty good. There's a new statistic that I just realized I could dig into called referring traffic, which is if you go to another website and it links to us, how many people came to us that way. And I called up the numbers from since we launched the site. With no referrals, which is when we don't know where they came from or they came directly to HSJ Online, we had 412,000 page views that way. People either just typed in HSJ Online or the system couldn't tell where they came from. But about 190,000 of those, so about half of the traffic compared to our no referrals or our people just typing in, came from Facebook. Google had 10,000 people found us through Google. Bing, does anybody use Bing? I didn't even know Bing was still a thing. 750 people found us through Bing. And I thought this was the most interesting one. This is not ranked by size, but the Town of Hope website, 386 people have clicked on us from the Town of Hope website. So that's my long, boring list of statistics. I hope that sheds some light on what we're doing.
So now, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, Bud Heron and Michael Dean. Who wants to step up here first?
We'll come up together.
All right. Do that.
Well, I think I have the yesterday piece. You can tell by looking at me. I have the yesterday piece. 120 years ago, my grandfather, at the age of 1920, started a paint business out of a barn over on Union Street, and through the years grew that business into a painting business that painted a lot of the barns, painted that water tower one time. My uncle and my dad joined it in the 1920s when they were young men and they worked in the business. My uncle Louis came onto the business in the 1930s. He continued until 1971, but he was killed in an automobile accident, which kind of ended the paint business. I only worked one summer with Louis painting the old Golden Foundry offices down in Columbus, and they wouldn't let me touch a paintbrush. I mostly just had this. So I was a big failure. I was the only one that did not turn out to be a painter in the family. But I used to go into my grandpa and actually later on mostly my Uncle Louis's shop, which was in back of the house on Union Street, the old home place. And I was always amazed at the tools. And these tools were mostly brushes, all kinds of different widths of brushes, all kinds of different scraping devices, all kinds of putty knives, everything you can imagine. And as a kid, I was just enthralled at these tools. And I thought these tools are what this business is all about. And my Uncle Louis was quick to point out to me that, no, tools aren't about what you do. Tools are things you use to do what you do. What the business was about was the paint on the wall, the paint on the barn out at Bernie's, the actual product. That's what it was all about. And that's the way journalism is. That's the way newspapers are. People confuse the tool with the product. The product's information. It's an information moving it from the brain of someone to the brain of someone else, sharing it among all the brains. And through the years, those tools have all changed. But the basic product, even though it's evolved and there are things different about it than it used to be on paper. And there are people who still say, I cannot stand not holding a paper in my hand. Well, that's because you all are in favor of change as long as it doesn't involve you. The fact of the matter is, we are doing a better job in Hope, Indiana today. You are doing a better job. They are doing a better job of covering the news. Through the years, I started out sweeping out the newspaper place for Dwayne Harrison, whose name's on that list, way back when, and sobering up the guy who ran the press, who came over from the Edinburgh Courier, so on Wednesday nights we could get paper out without him being drunk. And we evolved from that into paste up. We moved it, printed it somewhere else. But through the years, it was always the information movement. And so today the tools are changing. And you better get used to it, because the tools are going to continue to change at a more and more evolving, quicker pace. Everything is miniaturizing. Right here we have a computer in my pocket, and it's got this HSJ Online in it, which is the Star Journal, which I want to tell you, as someone who's been in media a long time, HSJ Online is providing more information probably than you ever got on a weekly basis from any of those newspapers. Some of those newspapers were awful. Some of those newspapers were good. Sorry, we got any relatives out here for the awful. But some of them had just about enough news in them to cover the bottom of a bird cage. Some of them were voluminous. Some of the best papers produced in any small town were produced here. But my point is, you have to evolve with the tool that's being used and demand the same kind of quality out of the new delivery, what you get delivered, as you did when it was in print. I'll hang this up for now, but I do want to tell you that one of the interesting things that that's going on, I'm told, and Dave and I have talked about this, is the new mobile app that they're launching. It wasn't a cheap exercise or an easy jump, but this is where we're going. People want portability. People want to carry the newspaper of Hope, Indiana in their pockets. And this is the way they do it. So I'm proud of this team of people that have taken these steps out on faith and developed and moved right along with the big papers. I said last year when I was talking that there were several successful online newspapers in this country: the Washington Post, the New York Times, HSJ Online. And I mean that. This is a model for small towns. It really is. And I'm so proud of the folks who've done this. I had a small part at the beginning, and the way this has taken off is just amazing. So I probably should quit talking and move in this direction.
And I'm proud that he doesn't have anything on the front of that phone that would have embarrassed
Well, what were you expecting? You can tell a story about that.
Yeah, I guess I'll touch on the present. There was a lot of past, and there was some future there too. I was going to talk about that as well. Our present's amazing. It really is. Compared to where we were 3 years ago, we bite off a lot. When we sit down every year and plan out our goals, we set really aggressive goals to the point where Mr. Webster said, Michael, we can't do this. David, put it down. Let's do it. And it happens. And I don't know why it happens. I don't know how it happens, but it happens. So something's going on that we are blessed with what we're doing. I think if the last thing that we do is this Krish thing, we always look at that. Do we want to change that? It's the last thing we do when we do our goals. It looks fine. It looks fine. One of the things that we really hang our hat on, I guess, or can be proud of, is that and I keep bringing that up in the meetings, we want to be about integrity. And it's not just HSJ Online, it's Heritage of Hope in general. When we lose that, then we lost everything. Because I can no longer, in good conscience, go to the edit board and say, I need money for this. I can't go to the town board and say, I would like to do this. I remember going to a meeting, they wanted to do something here in town that I didn't like, that I felt was against those kind of values. And the last thing that I said at the meeting was, you just made my job a lot tougher. And they're like, why? Yeah, because I go to Columbus and I ask for ad dollars. And it's the easiest sell in the world. Yeah, go ahead. They don't have to worry about us. They know that we're going to do things the right way. And so whenever we started this up, we talked about this too. I'm not going to mention the website, but I said, we're not going to be that. And so when we have stories that end up being that, then we get worried. The one that David asked me to talk about was Erica's story. I happen to be at the meeting, and sometimes we don't get the content that we feel like, as much content as we need. And I happened to be down here one day and happened to get a picture, and I thought, we can all be that. We don't have to go out and hire reporters. We're here in town. You see something happen, take a picture. Get it to John, and he'll get it on. Throw a little something on there, and he's real good at that. Well, I happened to be down at the Dollar General, 3 or so spaces down from the commotion that was going on, and Michael, do what you said ought to be done. And so I ended up calling John, and we ended up getting that story. And the aftermath of that, oh my goodness, it literally went around the world, and it went around fast. It gave us some amazing stats and things like that, but man, it could have just really wrecked a family, a person, a little kid. What have we done? And I asked myself that a lot. What did we do? Because now this person's done. This human being is done, and now it is permanent. Are we doing the right thing? Matt Talent, took a ton of heat. Her mom, which again, you've got the Star Journal and you've got us. And, I ran for office. They said I won the election. No, I didn't. I lost. But forever, I've got a front page story that says I won. I ended up losing by 5 votes because they hadn't counted the ones down at the courthouse, but I've got forever this thing that says Michael Dean won. And then the next one says, a week later, said it's do interim and all over again.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it said, But now I've got both of those stories. You won't have that with HSJ Online unless somebody gets a screenshot, because we made a mistake in that story. It said that her mom was in the store while this happened. Well, her mom wasn't in the store. So we got that back to John, and it was changed like that. So we can be, again, the integrity part, we can be right almost all the time. Because if we find out we're wrong, you don't have to wait a week and get smeared everywhere. You just go in there and change 2 words and you're done. So that's really helped us in what we do, and one of the reasons we keep doing it. The part about tomorrow, I can sum that up in about 2 seconds. I don't know. If I would have told you a year ago what we had planned, it is way different than we are now. And again, this is going to have a big part of it. I've got a laptop at home. I hardly ever use it. I don't need to. If I need to see something, but I can do one of these numbers and it gets bigger on my phone, so it's no big deal. And so we were talking about this, 2 years ago, getting an app for the phone. Now, like a dingbat, I thought that I could write the code. Yeah, because that's how much I knew about it. Oh, just write an app. It's on there all the time. People write apps. So we'll just write an app. Well, no, we don't do that. So we sent John up to Chicago. He comes back and he says, for a little bit a month, we can get an app. Well, that's how people run off of phones now. They've got apps. Every Monday morning, we have prayer breakfast over there. I've got an app for our daily bread. People used to walk in with these daily bread books and say, here, Michael, do you want this month's or this whatever? And I said, no, I got it. It's right here. Oh, you can't count on that. Watch me. Because I'll leave that at home. Because I can't remember that, but this is right here all the time. And so I click on that, there it is. If you know Daryl Jesse, okay, a couple years ago he comes in with one of these. Look what I got. I don't know how to use it. He does now. Every now and then he gets messed up. He brings it. He says, Michael, fix that. Okay, we'll see what we can do. And if I can't do it, Chuck Caldwell can. But it's one of those things where once he figured it out, man, because he knows exactly how much rain he got yesterday. He can tell you in between the times. He can go all these. He does everything on his phone now, and they're all to do with apps. We're going to get there because now we're a mobile, news gathering site. We can take pictures. I can send them to John, and literally in 5 minutes, it can be on HSJ Online. And so people that have to have that in their hands, go to the library. We got a copy. That's a neat thing that David's done over there at the library. It's another present. If you need to have a paper in your hand, then he prints it out, and you can go there, and it's in. Go see Stephanie at the library. You get a hard copy. If you really need it, print it out at home. But the thing is, we do have it, and you're going to have it. The future, again, I can tell you maybe what's going to happen next week, but man, it's going to be something if we continue to do what we're doing. I feel, if we keep sticking to that Krish that David's talked about, we'll be okay. That's it.
I asked Michael, since I didn't want to mess up with the agenda, but I asked for a moment of kind of personal privilege here. I'm going to tell you just a real quick story. I promise I'm not going to get old on you.
We don't have to.
But when I was about 10 years old, I was sitting over on the north side of the square while my mom was shopping at the grocery store, and the Hope State Bank was over there at the time. And a gentleman came out of the Hope State Bank. These were the days when you still could get silver dollars, go in and write a check and get silver dollars back. Those days are pretty much gone, particularly when it comes to the old Morgan silver dollars, which were the ones that were around. And this guy came out of the bank with a whole pocket full of these. I don't know if I looked like I was hungry or whatever, or he just took a liking to me, but he said, here, son, have this silver dollar, carry it with you, and it'll give you good luck. I'd try anything at that point. I thanked him, took his silver dollars. Since that time, I collected silver dollars. And through the years, when I come across a person I've worked with, a young person who has succeeded in special ways, an old person that's succeeded in special ways, something I think is extraordinary beyond the pale, I like to give them a silver dollar. And so today, many years ago, I'm not sure exactly when, Lisa could probably tell us, before we could get our wall built between here and Jennings County, an immigrant came north and came here and became one of us. And many people have been involved in this project for HSJ Online. Most of you in this room have been involved one way or another, supportively or actively. And not taking away from any of that or from the current board, But I want to tell you, my experience with HSJ Online is that the guy driving the engine consistently has been David. And he is the one that has gone door to door raising the money. He's the one that bugs me to do stuff that I don't do. He has been the engine that has driven it. Plus, I would like to find a nicer person anywhere on earth than David Webster. He is an absolutely outstanding man, and I would want to give him this silver dollar if for no other reason than that. This is an 1880 Morgan silver dollar. This was minted in Philadelphia, one of the birthplaces of this whole nation, when this town was 50 years old, was celebrating its 50th year. And I think all the founders of this town and all of the people who have made this the wonderful place it is would be more than pleased that I give this to David to carry in his pocket.
Expecting that. Mighty special. Thank you so much. It's been great honor. Well, Steph, after that, you need to say something. We asked David if he would speak about our partnership with the library in regard to making a physical binder. He could not make it. We will not go into reasons why unless Stephanie wants to do that. Stephanie, please share.
Thank you. Yeah, Dave Miller sends his apologies. He couldn't be here tonight, so he asked for me to read this letter for him. It says, Dear staff and board members of HSJ Online, congratulations on another record-breaking year. Like so many other ventures in Hope, you've done more with fewer resources than anybody thought possible. It is a testament to hard work and support of the stakeholders gathered here that Hope again has a reliable and informative news source that helps to bind our community together. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I feel that one of the ways that HSJ Online has been successful is that once people are exposed to your content, they come back for more, checking in every so often to keep up on things in town. Getting them to use HSJ Online in the first place is a critical element to the continued growth and awareness of your terrific product. To that end, at the beginning of 2018, the Hope Library started printing out every article from HSJ Online and putting them into a binder. We keep that binder in the newspaper section of the Hope Library and another copy at Reflections. Our intent is to give access to HSJ Online to members of the community that have a barrier to online access. In some cases, those are senior citizens who are not proficient enough with technology to access the website. In some cases, those are people who cannot afford internet access at home. In some cases, there are people who abstain from computers and technology for religious and personal reasons. We have found that our HSJ Online binder see regular use. While it is a drop in the bucket compared to your measured statistics, there are several people every week who come into the library to look through them, and we have gotten positive feedback about the project. We are happy to continue this project to bridge the digital divide and bring access to those in town who wouldn't otherwise keep up with town events. On behalf of the Hope Library and the Bartholomew County Public Library, thank you for all that you do, and we wish HSJ Online continued success in the future. Signed, David Miller, Branch Supervisor of the Hope Ranch Library. And this is the binder that we have there available, and there's also one at Reflections. And John Clark sends me all the news stories on Monday. I print them out and put them in here, so be sure to stop by the library and check those out.
Super.
Thank you.
As I have my hand in my pocket, I have it around the coin. And I'm thinking about a lot of people, a lot of precious people in Hope. And I'm so thankful for all those people. One being Larry Simpson. I read a little bit from this last year. I'll read a little bit more this year. And by the way, we're about finished, so hang in there. You know, I sent Larry like a paragraph inquiring about something, and he sent me 4 pages back. And I'm so glad he did. I'm so glad he did. Here's a line. People tend to think of us as a given, like a utility that will always be around. What is not realized is that we are one of the smallest communities in Indiana to still have its own newspaper. Here's another one. I want to be sure the small newspapers in Indiana can survive. It is a part of our Indiana heritage. And here's another one, the final one. And Bud, you're mentioned. Bud and I just find this very interesting. Bud and I are working on a way to turn the newspaper into a learning lab of sorts, tying it to a not-for-profit or education institution. Even Hauser could benefit from a journalism program. Perhaps there is a way to put this all together and create a win-win. I just hope I can hang in there long enough to see it happen. Unfortunately, he was not able to see it happen from this position, but I think he's seen it happen from another position. How fortunate were we to have someone like a Larry Simpson, a Carol Biggs, a Charlie Biggs, and on and on and on. And at this time, we've had several presentations. We started with a presentation, Carol Biggs, Outlive Life. And then, thank you again for this coin. It will always be very special to me. But now I have another presentation, and I need for Terry to come up here, and I need for Stephanie to come up here. Come on up, Terry and Stephanie. And I need for all you people out there to come in here to be a part of this. Stephanie's over here on this side. Gee.
Don't make me cry.
I'm standing here with 2 former 5th graders. Terry Beaker at one time. Yeah. Stephanie Seawright at one time. I tell people when you first start teaching and working with 5th graders, you never think about working with them later. But how fortunate I have been in my life to work with several of my former students. Terry, how long have you been affiliated with the Hope paper? Many years. Steph, how long? Many years?
27 years, will be 28 in September. You're probably 23 or 24. Yeah.
Listen to that. The number of years they have dedicated to news for this town. So we just thought it would be really appropriate to make a special presentation to each of you. And by the way, Terry, I had to have yours redone. I don't know what I was thinking, but had Terry Beaker on it. Old age. How many people can understand that out there? Several of you can. Several of you can. Stephanie, fortunately, I didn't mess your name up. So that cost me a little additional money, but oh well. Oh well. But on the front, you'll see the clock, which kind of represents HSJ now, and your name. Guess I should show that to you clearly. Yeah. And then on the back, there's a clock, and it says something. And this is what it states. On behalf of HSJ Online, I'm sorry. I can get emotional too, you know. And the Hope Star Journal, our community would like to thank you for your never-ending dedication to the cause of the local media source. You have carried on the wishes of Charlie Biggs and Larry Simpson for Hope continuing to have a newspaper, while knowing, like Charlie and Larry, it would not make you rich, but fill you with much satisfaction. So we thank you. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have anything else. I think we've gone a little bit beyond the time that we set and established, but so be it. For your information, we have pizza coming, and anybody would like to stay behind and join us, you're welcome to do so. Because I ordered plenty. All right? And, you know, we're all in this together, all of us. I think we've tried to make that very clear, and we cannot thank you enough. Blessings.